One. And we are live. Welcome to Seize Your Mind. This is a podcast about soccer, mental toughness, and life. I'm your host, Brandon Stone. Today's guest is Luchi Gonzalez, head coach of FC Dallas. How are you, Luchi?
I'm good, Brandon. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming. So, for those of you who don't know his background, he started off with the SMU Mustangs back in 1998, had 48 goals for them, according to Wikipedia. Then he went on to the MLS, San Jose Earthquakes, Sweden for Bodens BK, Sporting Cristal in Peru, Colorado Rapids, Miami FC, Minnesota Thunder, U17 for the United States, and then from 2012 to 2018, FC Dallas Academy Director, and now head coach for FC Dallas. Did I get all that right?
I think you did great.
All right. So tell me, how did you get to where you are today? I know I kind of went over where you went, but walk me through like childhood, growing up playing soccer, what made you fall in love with the sport, what made you get real serious about it, and what made you get into coaching later.
So my father was, he immigrated from Lima, Peru. I grew up in Miami, Florida. So, soccer was a big passion in my home. Although when I grew up, Peru was not frequent in World Cups. So that last World Cup that Peru got to qualify for was the first time in 30 years. So that was a big deal. But I grew up watching the Argentine League. The River Boca Derby was amazing for me to see on TV growing up.
That was a intense rivalry, yeah.
Correct, and so I followed. I loved to watch, and then I played and I participated in that. And I was a pretty okay youth player. And then as I got into my teen years, I started to really improve, and I was part of youth national teams. I played a U17 World Cup. I got recruited for different colleges, and then I'm so thankful for the opportunity I had with Shellis Hyman at SMU. And then, I from freshman year, I got to participate, and I was given opportunity, and luckily I was able to take advantage of them. So, the transfer from college to pro is sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So, I experienced a really successful youth and college career, and then professionally, I was a very humble player, modest, very modest player. I jumped around teams trying to play, not necessarily my choice. I was picked up here, waved there, and, all learning lessons. And I think those experiences helped me. It humbled me. It humbled me, and it allowed me to observe the game just as much off the field and on the field. And it also had me go through experiences that, made me reflect on my youth development and the experience I had growing up. And was it good enough? I think my father did the best he could to provide for me what I needed to develop. But I didn't have this environment growing up like pro players have in Europe or South or Central America. There were no MLS academies. We trained only twice a week. The third training I got because I decided to do pickup with my friends, or I did a personal session with some finishing with a side coach, or I just play in my yard the other days a week. And that was good for me. It created autonomy. It created my ownership of how much I can control to improve. But at the same time, it also made me curious what else is out there that can be better to develop players to not just debut professionally, but to have careers professionally. So my curiosity in coaching and teaching involving soccer came in mid-career, mid-pro career. By the time I was 25, 26, I was assisting. I was an assistant coach in youth teams in Colorado, in Denver, Colorado, where I was playing with the Colorado Rapids. And I really enjoyed that. I was only doing it as a side thing for supplemental income and just to get a little taste of it. And then as I started to wind down, and I could have kept playing a few more years. I was with Minnesota Thunder. It was USL then. And I decided to stop playing. And I could have played probably a few more years in the second division, but I made a commitment to myself and my family. I was going to pursue coaching and teaching, and never looked back. So it's all been natural. It's all been organic. But I'm really grateful for the opportunities I've had now with FC Dallas and them really helping me mold into the teacher and coach that I can be and father and husband that I can be. And I just hope to keep learning and keep trying to develop players and people to their potential so that they can have careers. That's a big difference for me is it's not about making a kid debut. It's not about a debut. Anybody can debut in anything, not just in soccer, professional soccer, other sports, other industries. It's about sustaining. It's about a career. And that takes a really a good environment of polishing, of adding ingredients, a pathway that allows your people and your players and your coaches to keep these characteristics and improve them as they mature and have careers. And I think that's where the U.S. is evolving still, and I'm really proud to be a part of that process.
It's not just about getting there, but getting there and staying there.
Correct.
Gotcha. Tell me more about your childhood. Do you have a favorite memory from your childhood soccer that's kind of sticks in your mind when you think back on it?
Singing. I remember my youth team, we sang a lot. And we sang, those Argentine chants. If we won the regional or the state championship, we would certainly enjoy singing. And again, these are amateur clubs. This is an amateur club. I played for a club called Strike Force, which is an amateur club in South Florida. It still exists. And just I remember we would play a game that was oriented around the ball possession and keeping the ball. And I was a forward in that system. And I got to get on the end of a lot of things and score some great team goals and some individual goals. But there was nothing like singing with my teammates that instilled the passion for the game. And that's something that I think brings out in me. Sometimes I get animated and I show my emotion, but it's all because of care, and
Passion.
I want players to know it's great to show those things as long as we channel it the right way and with ethics. But I take a lot of pride in that.
Have you brought the whole singing thing along in your coaching career and tried to share that with
I have in the teams I coached in South Florida with Gulliver and Kendall when I had the opportunities to coach there. I was coaching a school called Varela, Columbus. Those are some opportunities I had in South Florida that helped me develop my passion for coaching and teaching. In the FC Dallas Academy, yes, singing was a part of our curriculum, and we would do like chant competitions with teams, just to develop spirit. We're human beings, and it's important that we show our desire for what we represent, the team, the jersey, the club, the stadium, the facility, and the other age groups. So cheering for the other age groups at events. That's something that I really loved. And I was a part of just in that planning, in thinking of ideas that our young players coming through the academy can connect with the jersey and connect with the spirit of what FC Dallas meant, that it's a way of life. It's not just a football club. So that's something that with the first team, we, believe it or not, we've done some fun exercises where I've got the first team guys doing some chanting competitions. We haven't done it too much, to be honest. We've been trying to focus on some other very important things, but every now and then, yes, it is important to remember that there's a mentality, there's a spirit connected to how we want to perform. And the more desire and hunger we have to represent a jersey, a shield, a community, the more we're willing to sacrifice and give of ourselves, energy-wise, mentality. Those things are intangible for success in this game.
I agree 100%. So there's something greater, a greater good, a greater purpose that unites everyone and makes people want to fight harder and dig down deeper.
Exactly.
Awesome,
And it
awesome.
doesn't matter. Yes, I want all of my players to compete to be starting players. I mean, if they don't have that ambition, then they're not ambitious enough. But is there management of their ego and their mentality in the same direction of where the team's trying to go, the club's trying to go. That's where the connection of the jersey, the connection, your spiritual connection with the team and the group, to be a great teammate. That's something that I really believe in our style of play in the club and in our human way. And any type of top individual talent is that's gonna be a product, that them thriving individually and being successful individually just will be a byproduct of the collective thriving and the collective efforts.
Nice. I agree. Tell me about your favorite moment in SMU. I know they've always been a powerhouse in college soccer. Do you have a favorite goal you remember? Or
There's a funny picture. One of the pictures of me in like the Hall of Fame area is me doing a bicycle kick, and if you really look at the background of the picture, I'm right next to my own goalkeeper, and it was actually a clear. I was actually clearing the ball. So I remember always everyone saying, "Hey, what a beautiful bicycle kick! And did you score that?" And I just remember saying, "Actually, I was clearing it from the box. It wasn't an attacking opportunity."
But it was pretty.
Yeah, exactly. It looked pretty, but it wasn't to score. But my experience with Shellis is very valuable for me. I came to SMU as this very creative flair type player, took a lot of risk, and of course SMU took that and embraced that, but they gave me a lot of structure, gave me a lot of discipline, showed me what respect was all about. And I thank Shellis for really grounding me and giving me a foundation, being responsible, not just as a player, but as a student, as a human, as a teammate. And I'm thankful. I'm thankful for that experience. So maybe it's not some one exact moment, but I'm just thankful that I had that experience to give me structure at SMU and to help me. I wouldn't be the coach of FC Dallas if it wasn't for the education I got that allowed me to teach and to coach and get opportunities in some prep schools, high schools, academies before I came to FC Dallas. So I'm thankful for that pathway. Now it's different. It's different opportunities that are being created with MLS academies and the direct pathway to professionalism through a second team, the first team. Who knows, maybe what could have happened to me if I was playing today. That goes for everybody that grew up in my time. But I'm thankful for my experience, no regrets. And I'm really proud of how far we've come to develop professional pathways that sometimes still require college and sometimes they don't, but that there's more options now.
Yeah, there's that more than one road leads to Rome type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest thing you got from SMU were just some core values and core.
Yeah, for sure.
And
core values, structure, role model, just positive people. Just college is college. You see good and bad, right? And just no one's perfect. There can be distractions in college too, right? But for the most part, for the most part, I was around really positive people that wanted to get an education, wanted to get good grades, and wanted to serve. College soccer, there's really a beautiful unity to that because I think your roster is almost like 30 players. There's a lot of kind of unlimited type subbing. It's a different rules than professional soccer or even youth in the academies, not non-academy. But in that experience, some of my best friends from college who are best friends for life for me, they weren't some standout player in the team, in fact, some of them, they barely played, but that's what a college environment does, is treats everybody very the same. And that experience is good. It's a positive one for you to have when you're young, when you're a young man. And I think it humbles you and makes you respect everyone and appreciate relationships.
So respect for no matter where they fall on the totem pole, treat them all the same.
100%, 100%. And I do embrace that experience that college shows. College teaches you that value, that the team is number one, the group.
Right. Ahead of yourself.
Correct.
Specifically. Tell me your favorite moment as a player in the MLS. Was it a goal you scored? Was it just a bonding moment?
Yeah, it's funny. I scored against FC Dallas in Denver in a game that my parents came to visit me, and it was a very opportunistic goal. It was like ball bounced around near the goal line, and I just slid and put it in. It was nothing fancy, believe me. That was a nice moment. 2005 season, I got a lot of opportunities. I started a lot of games, and I thought I did okay. I thought I helped the team qualify for playoffs, but you got to produce as an attacking player. You need to produce. You need to score more goals. You need more assists. And I didn't. My numbers, maybe my effort was there, and I could keep the ball well and do a lot of things for the team. But I didn't perform statistically the way that I would have liked professionally. And so MLS, I struggled to really statistically perform. And so I could keep the ball, I can move it, I could do things to support the team. But if you're going to be an attacking player in the MLS level, there's a level of production that in that moment, in the teams that I played for, I wasn't able to do. And I would also say that there, especially like when I had my time in San Jose Earthquakes, amazing. Northern California is beautiful. I love the time I lived there for a year. Love the people, the community. I played 8 games, as a sub, came off the bench, and opportunities were slim. It was tough to get on the field. And as a 21-year-old, you're hungry to get opportunities. And there was no second team. There was no reserve team. There was no team that I could play with to gain confidence, gain rhythm, and gain fitness. So by mid-season, I hadn't been playing good minutes that you don't get in training. You need games to get those minutes, to get that confidence. And so the system, I think, early on in MLS, just because it wasn't feasible financially, I don't want to say it failed a player like me, but it was hard for a young player to try to earn opportunities in the league. That makes me so much more respectful of those guys that did earn opportunities being young, because they performed and they grabbed those opportunities. But some guys need a little bit more time, and they need more support in other ways. And I think a reserve team can bring that out of you. And so that wasn't in the structure or in the pathway early on. And it's amazing that now we've evolved to having second teams that help develop more first team players, because now you got a 21-year-old getting professional minutes. So he'll play 20, 30 professional games, maybe not with the first team, but he's getting professional experience to help them develop and reach their potential. And so it's connecting that bridge. And Europe, South America, they have second teams that get to play these games, and that helps those young professionals. But there's no excuse there. That was the system, and I just learned, and I had to adapt to my circumstances. But I had some amazing memories. I met my wife in Denver when I was playing for the Rapids, and I think the Rapids was one of the best experiences I had. I was coached by Fernando Clavijo, and we made playoffs both years, and just it was nice to be a part of that. And then where I was a little bit more protagonist, I played second division in Sweden, and I was the leading goal scorer in the team. And I don't know on Wikipedia why it shows question mark, but I played like 28, 29, maybe 30 games, and I had a great experience. I almost was going to come back to that team, but then I had an opportunity to go to Peru, which is where my father's from. And what a pride it was to play professional in my father's country. That was a big moment for me emotionally, to just play the game that I loved, that my father loved, in my father's country.
Is it for the team your father rooted for?
You know, my father grew up being a La U fan, La U Universitario. And I have family members that are Alianza. And so Cristal was kind of, wasn't in my family's support. Certainly is my favorite club in Peru. It will always be my favorite club because I played for them. I really didn't have one because I didn't grow up in Lima. But my father, you know, as time went on, he had an affection for Sporting because they gave me an opportunity. And I loved that experience in Peru. I got to play Copa Libertadores, and I mostly came off the bench and just gave everything I could, whether I had 1 minute or 20 minutes or 15 minutes, and scored a few goals, and almost stayed a year in Peru, another year in Peru. But then I had the opportunity in Colorado. So some of it was because I was getting cut or wasn't being re-signed, or I was finding other opportunities to go. And I didn't really have a home in professional playing. I didn't have a club that I can really say, oh, I was there and I had 100 games with them. And I wish in reflection, I could have had that experience as an ex-player, but I had to go where I had to go. But as a coach and as a teacher, as a director, past director in the academy, there I feel very proud that I was able to grow in my career and learn and show some level of tenureship, you know, and be a part of something more long-term. So I'm in my 8th year, going into my 9th year here soon in just a month. And that's crazy that I'm even saying that. So I'm almost in, I hope to be here double that amount of time, you know, and I know at professional level, the volatility of the job can be different, but you know, every action, every inch of my body and my family, and we bleed red and blue. I mean, and FC Dallas is in my heart. So I'm just really grateful for the steps I've been able to take here in the club.
Do you think playing at so many different clubs made you a better coach because you could get different pieces from each place?
Yes, I think that helped. I was coached by some guys I learned a great deal from, and I was coached from others that I really didn't have a big close relationship with, but I still learn from them. Yeah, we always learn from our past teachers or coaches, and I also learned some things that I will want to do better. You know, not and that's just me personally. From what I experienced as a player, I always look back and say, look, I feel here I was treated fairly. Maybe here I was overlooked, or I wasn't given this honest feedback, or you know, I don't ever look back and say, oh, I didn't get to play my position, or no. You have to adapt to what you play, whatever position gets you on the field. But in terms of just like personal development, individual development to then help the team, that's where now I take a lot of pride in that. So whether a player is going to start today or tomorrow or in a year, that's not a big concern to me. My concern is that I help provide an environment with the staff so that players grow and they learn and they improve. And so they create value for themselves and create values for the team. And that takes IDP, it takes individual development programs, which need good communication, honest feedback that's timely, that's consistent. You don't want to over-inform. You don't need to give a player feedback every week about why they're on the roster of this position. No, but there's little moments that you need to always connect and manage the individuals in your group so that they know where they stand, but also know where they can be if they make adjustments. And still no guarantees. But as long as they're respectful to the group and the team and trying their best, and there's good communication, honesty, that player, we have that player's back. I've got that player's back, whether he's going to play for me for 10 years or he needs to move to a different team in 6 months. But as long as they're doing things in that way, we got their back. I've got their back, and because I know they got the team's back. So they got the team's back, we got their back. So those are some things that, as when I played in the different environments around the world and different levels, you know, I had some amazing experiences and I had some negative experiences. And now, yes, of course, for sure, it helped form me in the criteria I want to make sure that are there in our environments, in our culture, in how we train players and how we treat players.
So you help the players know their strengths and weaknesses, and then make sure that they are trying to improve on those weaknesses.
Correct. And master their strengths. It's actually play to their strengths, master their strengths. I'm a big believer in, yes, you need to have a minimum standard in maybe some areas that are weaknesses or areas to improve, and they need to improve. Because if your weaknesses are not at the minimum standard, then it's going to be hard to perform at the level. So yeah, we want to develop the weaknesses, but you want to master strengths. You want players to always know that they're themselves, they are going to be the best version of themselves when they play to their strengths. But how can they modify the weaknesses? How can they be aware and adjust and refine weaknesses or certain things that are not their strengths? That's a balance. But it takes a communication and a process and feedback and not being afraid to, and I'm not saying everything I say is right. It's just the way that as a head coach, I'm going to see things, or we're going to see things as a staff. We've got to be decisive, and we're going to get it right sometimes, and we're going to get it wrong sometimes, but we're going to try our best to decide for what's best for the team to go in the direction of competing and winning in our philosophy. So, and that's the process. Every day is an adventure in that way. And, you know, it's adapting every day to the amount of communication you need to have with your staff, your players, and not just one-way communication, but this way too, like listening, observing. That's just as important as anything I can say, is how well I can listen, because that's how I like to lead. That's the way that I like to work in terms of collaboration, in terms of openness, because how can I demand of someone else? How can I demand and of someone else if they can't count on me to also listen? You know, so I always love the saying, to be a good teacher, you must first be a good student. You know, and so I really believe in that, and that's about modeling those behaviors.
Nice. What besides the chants do you do to help the team be more cohesive?
You know, I think a lot of it's natural. Just the guys in the locker room. You have some social things that staff are not even involved in, that they naturally click and connect on in different things, social media, or how they communicate in person, online, and said with technology. And then intentionally, because we want guys to have chemistry on the field. I mean, we want guys to read each other on the field and respect each other and get each other's support each other on the field. And in the training, it's just a constant environment that we want to provide that's positive, that's supportive, that's up. But that doesn't mean that it's fluffy. You know, it has to be critical. We need to get in there. We need to be direct sometimes, and don't take it personal. But after training, it's a hug. I know right now there's distancing. We can't do that, but you know, but that's the feeling, is give a hug. You know, embrace after training. We competed. You know, today we did some training and it was very competitive. You can tell guys you get chippy sometimes, but you know, we want to create a boundary where that's tested. So guys are out of their comfort zone, but at the same time, when that final whistle is blown, we're a family, we're a team, and we come together. So there's got to be competition too. It's not all just rainbows and butterflies that everything is beautiful and perfect. No, we need to create chaos. And when you create chaos, it makes the team try to find unity, try to find solutions, gets them out of their comfort zone, problem solve. So those are the things that the stimulus we need to always be making sure that are elements in the training. And over that process, over and over, we believe it creates more unity, and it creates synchronization and the ability to adapt and read each other.
So basically, by creating problems, you bring them together because they have to work together to find the answer.
Imagine you do a training all week where everything you plan is with very little chance of being a failure. That everything you did with your goalkeeper playing out of the back with the center backs, and there was all semi opposition, shadow defending, and Oh, I make a mistake, I don't get punished. I get it back. I can keep playing. Oh, I got a poor touch, so I'll take an extra touch. Doesn't matter because I'm not being punished for it. So if you create these habits of not getting punished for mistakes, guess what happens in the real game?
They make mistakes.
Mistake, and then you meant psychologically you can lose confidence, or you're not, or you lose your courage to play, or you lose the ability to respond. So where do we want to really develop that is in the training. The training is where we want them to suffer and problem solve and be punished for mistakes. Of course, in an encouraging way, in a trying it again way, and in no fear, let's go, let's do another rep. And this is the standard. That's not good enough. Let's do this better. You know, we got to have that environment in training, because in the game, when it's really the test, we're more ready. We're more ready. So, you know, you just have to play with that. And then not only are you preparing the team technically, tactically in that methodology, but you're also creating unity, because there's engagement. Players are communicating. They're solving problems. They're having to discuss things, agree, disagree. Sometimes the closest moment I've ever had with my wife is the moment right after we had disagreed. We disagreed, and 5 minutes later, because of that engagement and that struggle of position and right or wrongness, which maybe doesn't even matter after 5 minutes, but then there's that moment where, you know what, this is a relationship that I really respect and I love. Now, everything's about a balance, because if you create so much chaos and friction that it creates a lot of frustration that guys are not given the opportunity or the support or the confidence to fail and then respond and get back up or do it again better. If you don't give them the opportunity to respond or the opportunity to resolve, then that does the opposite. So we have to be very careful with those senses to make sure that it's balanced and we give the opportunity for a response.
Gotcha. You spoke about confidence. What are some more things you do to help your players increase their confidence? And what worked for you as a player, as a forward?
Confidence is an interesting. It's a crazy word, because you know you have a lot of people say, "Yeah, I need to be more confident." But like, what does that mean? I need to be more confident. You can't just snap your fingers and say, "Okay, I'm confident now." It doesn't work like that. Confidence is actually what you're going to exude. Like, you can actually say, "Hey, he showed confidence," like after the fact, because maybe he was consistent with his passing. His body language was very positive. He wanted the ball. Oh wow, that player is showing confidence. But it's hard to for me before the fact say, hey, you need to. Why aren't you showing confidence? Or you need to show confidence. Like, I think that's a word that I like to use after the fact, because before, if you want to show confidence, you can't control confidence. Like, hey, Luchi, be confident. Like, it's not something I can control, but I can influence it. I can influence this perception of my confidence. How can I influence it? It's the things I can control. What can I control? I can control my energy. I can control my body language. I can control my concentration, my focus. You know, I can control my response to a mistake by just trying again, doing it with doing it like I didn't fail, like knowing that it's okay to fail. I mean, there's things that you have to be very conscious of, that to control and make habits of in your training, and then in your games as a habit, that can then after the fact be perceived as confident, showing confidence. And so I think I've just said a few things, but those are the things that I think are important to show. You know, I think performance, again, is like confidence. Like, you can say after the game, this player performed 7 out of 10. This player he was 95% or 60% consistent with his pass accuracy. Oh, wow, 95% is excellent. 60%, wow, he didn't perform well. But a mentality, and this is something I'm learning with, we have a great guest sports psychologist for the team, Dan Abrahams, and he's really helped us with this understanding of mentality and how mentality is something that you are deciding before you show a performance that can be rated. You're going to have a mentality that's going to be either excellent or poor, because an okay mentality is going to create a very low performance, and a poor mentality is going to most likely create a worse performance. But if you have an excellent or reach for an excellent mentality, then you can maybe perform not your best, but over 10 performances, 9 out of those 10 are going to be above average to very good to great performances because you had an excellent mentality. Whereas if you had a poor mentality, then your performances are going to average to middle to low. Maybe you have a great performance with a poor mentality that can happen. Maybe your opposition was just non-existent that day. But for the most part, at the high level, at professionalism, especially in Europe, where Dan Abrams has experiences overseas in Europe, you need to have an excellent mentality every day, not just in your game day, but every day. And that's where that mentality is going to then give an end result of a performance or a perception of confidence.
What all makes up a good mentality? Like, because that's kind of a broad, it's made up of several things, right?
Yeah. So simple things. Again, things that you control. Things that are positive. Things that are controlled, things that are positive, things that are simple to know what they are. So energy, just energy. If you have a lot of energy, if what you do is with 100% full commitment of a strong action, and that's going to allow you to gain confidence. That's going to allow you to improve a performance. That's a mentality. I'm deciding to give everything I've got.
Do you think nutrition and preparation before helps with that energy?
Yeah, preparation is, of course, very important. It gets it farther away from the competition, but but these mentalities are the same off the field too, or similar off the field too, right? Like, talk about work rate or sacrifice or doing extra. You talk about being like a optimistic mentality. So that's something big here in our culture. Here's whatever, if you have adversity, how can you embrace that obstacle, that challenge, and make it an opportunity? And that's where a mentality is important. So you can control that. You can say, look, we're a man down. We're playing with 10. That means I've got to do more. That means I've got to pick it up. That means I've got to sacrifice more. We can do this because we're going to go above and beyond. I've got an injury. No, I've got to do my treatments. I've got to really watch my nutrition. I've got to study the game, analyze the game, and improve my technical analysis. So now I'm going to really be doing everything I can to get back. And so it's like this response to go above and beyond. So, it's being down in a result. We're losing 1-0. Okay, now what? Am I going to crumble and think the world is ending? No. You know what? This wasn't a good start, but now we're going to play better. Now my next action is going to be with more effort. My next pass is going to be with more concentration. I'm going to believe. I'm going to be more optimistic about getting to the next ball. If when you start to show emotion, a frustration, poor body language, that's where you start to, maybe in your mind, you're not saying, I'm not thinking negatively, but you're showing it and you're communicating it with your body language. So you have to really practice this. This is like a mindfulness in the moment of you're disappointed, you're frustrated, you're angry, you didn't start, your team is losing, you got an injury. How do you still put a smile on your face? Not a bullshit fake, sorry to curse, but not a BS fake, but just like I'm going to come back from this. I'm going to respond. I'm going to do better. I'm going to get my position back. I'm going to get it. And I didn't get it in 30 days, but every day I'm going to bring it even more so that I can get my position back. It's just a constant belief. Belief is important. Hope is important. Hope is so powerful because if you're like this, like what I'm communicating right now, that I'm losing hope, that I'm frustrated, that I don't, and we're human beings and we're going to have that moment. We got to catch ourselves. And I got to put energy into my next action. I still got to track. I still got to make runs in behind. I still need to be in the box. So everything that I'm describing are things that you control.
Yep.
That you control. And I think that has to be very clear in how we train our mentality. And I know I'm not a player anymore. I wish I would have known a lot of these things maybe psychologically when I was a player. But now as a coach, I have to make sure I do the best I can to model what we think is important, so that the players also see their staff, their coaches that are also going to deal with adversity and deal with things. But I think we have the opportunity to model things because players are going to mirror. They're going to mirror kind of what they see. Humans are going to mirror things. So and then to see the players do that on their own over time, over this process is so it's amazing. It's a proud moment, whether we win or lose, but just to see them doing that well is going to allow for more wins over time and more opportunity for success or growth in the long run, because Michael Jordan had to lose a lot of games and playoff games and have a lot of failure and miss winning shots to then learn to win the games, make the shots, and be great over time. And people forget he was in the league for almost 6-7 years without getting to an NBA final. So that's a great look. I know he had his strong personality and his ways with his teammates for motivation. A lot of controversy in the documentary. I'm still watching it. I'm following it as I can. There's a lot of elements involved in a team dynamic to be a champion, but I love the process. I love the journey, and that's an important thing to focus on because there's always tomorrow. There's always not tomorrow. Tomorrow is actually too far away. There's always the next 10 seconds. There's always the next hour, and then there's always tomorrow. There's always next week, and I believe that I'm going to live and die by that mentality, and I think that's important for the team dynamic.
So what I'm hearing is we have to, when things go bad, when we go a goal down, when we get an injury, we make a decision, whether we realize it or not, to either let that destroy you or for it to be motivation to work harder, to focus on those things you can control, your energy, your belief, your body language.
Exactly. So and it's endless. As long as you're breathing, you have the opportunity to respond. And that to me is what defines a person or a group or a team, is how they respond. That's what for me defines them. And the response being a one of increased energy, increased focus, increased effort, not giving up. That sounds so like cliche. Never give up. No, that's huge. Tell yourself that all the time, and you're going to find success. Of course, I need to adjust tactically. Of course, I need to adjust technically. Of course, I need to have a communication. Of course, I need to wear a certain uniform for the game that's going to contrast like there's a lot of, criteria things you need to check to do things go in the right direction. But something as simple as just don't give up.
Never throw in the towel.
Never give up. Never give up. And okay, there's reality too. I've had some amazing young guys who have wanted to be in our FC Dallas Academy or try out with the first team, and they unfortunately maybe they're 25 and they have a level that's just not maybe for the criteria we have in our first team. They just don't have that level, and that's a point where maybe to be a professional player in FC Dallas is not the right option. That doesn't mean they can't play in another environment and find what we're all going to find our avenue and what is a good fit for us mutually. There's got to be a mutual interest. But when there's not a mutual magnetism over time, we need to really reflect on that reality and say, okay, well, I need to maybe change. I need to change my stand. I need to think about doing something different. Life teaches you. Life is going to take you through these directions. Life took me to a point where I had to confront that my level wasn't going to allow me to play till I was 35 and make a lot of money and be on the senior national team and take care of myself and my family for the rest of my life because of my playing career. It wasn't the standard. I had to eventually, I don't like the word accept, but I needed to understand the direction I was going in. And I believe me, I clung on. I held on as long as I could. I could have held on in the minor leagues, right? I really enjoyed that. One of my favorite seasons was playing with Minnesota Thunder. I played every game, almost every minute, different position. I was, I felt one of the leaders in that team, and I retired the year after because my passion of coaching of the game, I knew I needed to do something. I wanted to be really, really influential, and I wanted to. I didn't want to waste time growing and coaching and teaching. So I just decided to retire when I was 28, 29. But I get to a point where I needed to find that path. Life was going to show me the path, but then I needed to be decisive in certain moments. But, whenever you talk about these short-term moments, in the short term, you don't give up. You don't give up. You don't give up. You keep fighting. I coached, I'm not going to name a name. I coached a player last season that just, just he wasn't getting opportunities. We weren't seeing the characteristics we thought were what we needed for certain games and for many games. But this player never gave up. This player brought the same passion and energy, and you could see him sometimes lose confidence, be disheartened, get frustrated, but he always made it just a little bleep. Like if he showed frustration, like boom, the next second, no, I'm going to give you everything in this rep. I'm going to give you everything in this warm up. I'm going to give you everything in this exercise. I'm ready. Okay, I don't get it. Okay, I'm going to keep working hard. I'm ready. And this is a player that could have easily just thrown in the towel and maybe be in a different club right now. But this player just didn't give up. And that there was an opportunity that they earned and they grabbed it. They didn't let it go. And yeah, there's still going to be decisions in the future. There's no guarantee for any player. We have to take it one day at a time. But it was just a great example, again, within the team. You don't give up. You don't give up. And I have a player that doesn't play here anymore. He's playing at another club, and I still keep in touch with that player. And it was just the right thing for him to go in this environment. And we went this way, he went that way, but he was respectful. He always got his teammates back. He was great influence in the locker room. And I'll do anything for that kid that I can do, that I have the capability of doing. Because of that mentality. So you can have different stories, different results. But that player that's not here, he's going to be successful wherever he goes. And he might play in 5 different clubs from now, but because he doesn't give up, but he's doing it in the right way. So, you know, taking it in a micro moment, in a training or in a game, it's just really important that we always are providing an encouragement of don't give up, don't give up. The next play, the next ball, the next moment is the most important. So I love that quote by Tom Brady. They ask him what his favorite ring is. You know, what's your favorite Super Bowl ring? And he says the next one. You know, the next one. And I love that. I love that. And it's so true. You know, if he says, oh, you know what, the second one. Now, when Tom Brady retires and he's done, you know, for sure done. It doesn't come out of retirement like 4 times like Brett Favre. But when Tom Brady is done and looks back, then he's going to say what his favorite ring was. But if he starts to show his teammates in Tampa Bay that his favorite ring was the second ring, he's already showing he's complacent and he's not hungry for the next moment. And that, I love that. And that's it's all connected in this mentality topic. And it's just
contagious.
And it's, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And the more guys on a team that have that, like you said, it's contagious, it's going to spawn, and you have a team that is not perfect, but they're going to have a almost perfect mentality, and they're going to learn to get results.
Beautiful, beautiful. Luchi, this has been a great little powwow session, great little chat. I've loved getting to know you, knowing your personality, knowing your values, knowing how you became the coach that you are. I wish you much success in Orlando. And I just want to say thank you so much for being on here. I know my listeners are going to get tons of value. I got tons of value from it. And I just hope we stay in touch, and I've got your back.
Brandon, I appreciate the interest in FC Dallas. Congrats on the program that you run here, and I'm just anything you need from myself or the club, we'd be glad to be a part of the process. So all the best, and see you soon.
Perfect.